This is season 4, and I am on a mission to help creatives become the most loved versions of themselves. I want to help you step into health in every single area of your life and pursue the authentic creative expression that you feel called to and that only you can. The world feels crazy right now, and we need healthy creatives more than ever. So let's get into it. I'm Courtney Lancaster, and this is the Heal Create Podcast. Welcome to the Heal Create Podcast, everybody. I am Courtney, and I am honored to have somebody that you are going to love. I love her. She is a creative force and a both soft and very strong, powerful woman and sister. And I'm so glad to have Whitney. Hi, Whitney.
Girl, hey. So glad to be
Girl,
here.
hey. Whitney Lynn. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do? Just kind of give us like some basics so we can get to know you before we dive into our topic today.
Of course. Hi, Courtney. So glad. Well, so about me, I like to use the phrase I'm a recovery artist for the human heart. My background is primarily dance and movement related in the fine arts side of things. So I grew up dancing, really finding that satisfying a deep need for expression and contemplation and feeling things. And then as I moved on to directing and founding a company, it was contemporary modern, if any dance heads out there, that I discovered, okay, I love dance. Like it's a profound art form for expression and in like awakening an audience and even our own selves to like the drama of life and the beauty and the power and the prowess of the human body. But also my dancers are having panic attacks and like still hate their body. And yet I'm creating an environment that is so safe. And so I'm not able to help you like reflect and carry and give a story on the stage to the audience energetically that is truly alive if you are still blocked. I moved towards life consulting and realized like, oh my goodness, until we can understand, adore, and manage the story inside, what are we actually giving away when we're storytelling on stage? And that obviously transfers to so many art forms. And it just, I think dance maybe allowed me to see how much the body itself is this vessel and vehicle for belief states. And like, because I can see an incredible athlete in human form whose timing and rhythm is stunning. And yet I'm also aware of the juxtaposition of their current beliefs about their body or their abilities and how much they actually hate. And they get off the stage and tear it all down and criticize. So I moved towards really deeply understanding emotional health as much as I could. I kind of became obsessed, and that transformed our dance company because in our last season, we were like just so connected to each other and ourselves. And since then, like the dancers just talk about like how much our making space for the story of the heart and each other's weaknesses and needs and insecurities actually like transformed the way they step into every studio. So now I moved towards how can I help kind of the general whole with the power that comes from being embodied. Like dance has been a gift, especially in a relationship with God, because I am focused on like fully expressing and not letting anything get small and stay stuck. I'm like, how do I commune with you in a way that feels true to the full story inside? And so now I'm just watching, like just being in Los Angeles going like, okay, people are hungry for like giving up these boxes we've created. We're hungry for embodiment. And so breath work, embodiment, movement, somatic awareness, all of these like returning to the body as a pathway to expression and honesty and courage in our lives. So mouthful. That's me.
No, not at all. No, I love it. Oh, I have a question too. You said something about like, if we're not feeling and being with what's going on, what are we actually giving away as artists? What is your answer to that? Do you have like a personal answer to that or a pattern from people you've worked with?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think I'll speak from like a dancer's perspective,
Yeah.
and sort of dance critic's perspective. Um, like it's one of those things of like, I don't believe you. Like I can see your technique. Your toes are pointed perfectly, but
Mm-hmm.
you're on stage performing, and I energetically there is an exchange going on between audience and performer.
Mm-hmm.
And we are so brilliant in maybe more our subconscious perceptions. Like we read the
Yeah.
body language, 80% of what is transmitted, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like in wanting to pull out the authentic expression of my dancers, I realized what they're meditating on and what they're believing is the primary priority. Like it's not
Yeah.
how perfectly they like prepped for that pirouette. It's actually about what they're believing in the moment of that pirouette.
Totally. Yeah.
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 I
It's
do this high energy, right? I'm transmitting an energy, like a
mhm.
actual
Mhm.
vibration. I'm actually
Mhm.
getting the world around me through what I'm believing. So,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it was interesting too because I can relate to that as a vocalist, as a singer. And what I learned with my certification with muscle music or with Ruby Fox, she's like a nervous system and mental health like expert for artists, actors,
mm,
actors, artists, performers. And she talked about this state that a lot of artists and performers can go into called super play, where like it is actually easier to embody like expressions or even like to look like you embody certain beliefs and to connect with people and to be fully alive. But then off stage, none of that is true for your actual personal life. And so that's a disconnect that can happen too, where the stage is the only place that you can believe that you are anything
mm,
special or worth being seen, which is like sort of like
mm,
the flip side to it as well.
mm, mm.
So what you're
Yeah.
after, because I know you and because of what you shared, you are after creatives being fully themselves, feeling fully loved, knowing who they are, feeling safe to express and feel and be embodied on stage and off stage.
hmm Yeah. And my
Yes.
primary audience now, Courtney, was formerly dancers. And now it is the gift that is dance for the general whole as well as the body of Christ, like folks who are coming from faith spaces and traditional spaces that are perhaps weary of a disconnect between the expression, the feeling, the emotion they're having, and then the parameters with which they're allowed to express that or be that.
Yeah.
The limitations that just don't parallel the expansive, incredible
Yeah.
love they're encountering, or the need to be completely lost in grief and on the
Mm.
like on the floor in public, like the allowance and the
Yeah. Yeah.
body to be like a priority in faith spaces.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, yeah, because we have intellectualized this thing, and now we're all like, what else is there? I know there's more. I know there's
Yeah,
more.
totally. Yeah, it was interesting. I had Andy Colbert on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about this um, story from the Bible that she thinks about a lot and uses with her kids, where like Adam and Eve are walking in the garden, and after they'd eaten from the tree, he says to them, "Where are you? Like, where are you? What's going? Where are you?" And she's kind of has done a deep dive with some different teachers over the years of like what was actually going on. What do you mean? Like it wasn't because he didn't know where they were.
Mhm.
He was trying to ask them to like pay attention, like what's going on in you right now? Where
Yeah.
are you in your body? And
Mm,
so she says she uses it with her kids all the time. Like, what are your needs right now? Where are you?
mm, mm,
What's going
lovely.
on with you? What's going on with your body? I know. And I loved that too. And how like with it, just
Mm,
with all of her work on the other side of the heal create spectrum of like the therapeutic, really deep therapeutic side, like she recognized like nothing changed, nothing really healed until she came home to her body,
oh,
which I can say the
yeah.
same thing for myself.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Holds all the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It's so cute that we want to ascend to an intellect. It's cute.
Adorable.
It's
Yeah.
adorable that we want to tell our nervous system that it should be a certain way, that it should feel these
Right.
certain things. You should arrive here. Everyone else has
Right.
arrived here, right? We're not masking. This is they're really embodied. They really believe this. Okay, so I'm just masking for the rest of my life, or God
Yeah.
cares about
Yeah.
the reality of my body when I enter a worship space and actually where
Yeah.
I'm at instead of
Yeah.
forcing. Is he a dictator?
Yeah.
Is he a, punisher? Is he a performative, CEO? Ready? Show me your results. Prove to me. No, he's a deeply embracing father who's completely aware of the reality that we're actually holding on to at this time.
Human
So,
bodies.
yeah.
I wonder too, for you, this might be good to talk about here. We want to get into the topic of breath work. It's one of your specialties. It's something that you do with groups of people. I experienced it at the Fathering Artist Retreat that we were both a part of. And I was like, well, this is magical. And it's
Mhm.
so interesting because, well, I want to get into this topic of breath work. Before,
Mhm.
however, I'm going to pause that thought and ask a question. What has your relationship as a creative woman, which is a lot of my audience, um,
Mhm.
what has been your relationship with your own emotions? How has your relationship with your own sensitivity and your own emotions like evolved as you've gone on in your adult life? Or maybe as a kid too.
That's I'm tearing up a little bit. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is the gateway for me towards breath. And so I can most certainly share that. But yeah, so my relationship with my emotions as a creative. Is
As
that
a
the
woman,
question?
as just
The
for you
woman,
personally, period.
period. Yeah. Well, I think I described earlier, dance early on was a way. I think I grew up in such a stoic environment.
Yeah.
Both both parents were pretty detached from anything sentimental, emotional,
Yeah.
whatsoever. And I was an only child, so I was like hungry, like starving for feeling. I actually didn't
Hmm.
cry from the age of, I think, 12 to 20. I couldn't cry.
Wow.
I had made a little
Mm.
agreement that crying alone in my closet was unproductive.
Yeah.
Precious little Whitney. I was like, it's not actually doing anything. So, and I had a little, resentment there, of like, I'm not going to give my parents the power. My dad had, unfortunately, a mismanaged anger. Um, and I was like, I'm not going to give him my vulnerability or my weakness anymore, And so I
Yeah.
became a bit impenetrable, and joy was the thing that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to look at the silver lining no matter what. We're just going to keep being happy. I'm going to grab every good thing from every environment. And that's the only reality. But I knew also, like, music, I became kind of an emo girl. Like, I leaned in towards something I need to feel. And so I needed
Something. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
like impetus or stimulus to help me feel life. And then when I
Yeah.
pursued God, in my college years, I began to start crying and feeling and knowing that this heart thing, it matters. And so dance was really, I think, such a gift without us understanding it's this thing that's packaged where it is actually, you're moving your body, you're actually stimulating your vagus nerve. And so then super easily your emotions can come forward quite a bit more
Yeah.
than just when you stay stagnant. The body is meant to obviously also release the score, and so movement was a gift to me for a while to tap. Hey, there's things that need to be moved out, up and out. Grief needs to come.
Yeah.
Now, when I got into my early to mid 30s, a neck issue, a spinal issue kind of formed. And so my ability to actually get as wild and embodied and expressive in my dance began to decrease.
Sure.
So this place that was my processing space for emotion in many ways, which was music and movement, alone in the
Yeah.
room or the studio, sort
Yeah.
of diminished, and enter breath work. And now I was skeptical, Courtney. I was like, cute, like breathing, like we do that every day. Like I had no
Yeah.
clue. Um,
Yeah.
and I went just very casually to a breath work with a friend, thinking this will be cute. But like I have had radical encounters with God many, many times. What is breathing going to do? And the humility that I came to
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that session of holy cow, like the
Yeah.
body is made to release. So within 20 minutes, I was already in some sort of state with God and my own heart and the truth of what's under like the surface with me. 20 minutes and I'm there. I'm fully grieving.
Yeah.
And then I get
Yeah.
there and I'm like, what is everything? So I began to study breath work, the vagus nerve, the activation of our emotional processing center, and realize this is a
Yes.
gift from God. Like this is entirely a gift from God to humanity in the design of our bodies. So
Yes. Well, and yeah, and I want to ask you so much more about it. I can totally relate to like living in a stoic environment, living in a really detached emotional environment where you just didn't talk about hard things, period. And I remember
mm,
worship for me, especially circa,
yeah.
early 2000s, like for that, there was like a good, I mean, depending on how you see it, from my perspective, it felt like there was a lot of artists coming out that were like really expressive with their bodies in leading worship. There
Mm,
was the Vineyard movement. There was the, Bethel worship music. There was a lot of like really like embodied worship music. And I remember that was the only place where I felt like I could fully express not only like, there's so many stories in worship songs of just like longing and grief and or like his love for us or how or what Jesus did. Like there's pain, there's grief, there's like redeemed pain stories that were good to tell, but I also felt like it was a place where I was able to express my devotion. And little kids, what I've learned is like, through childhood development science, little kids, when they feel really like loved and connected, they just naturally want to tell you how much they love you. Like I have 4 little nieces right now that are just like, I love you, Auntie Courtney. Will you hold me? Can you sit in my lap? Or can I sit in your lap? And I'm like, that devotion is something that also wasn't freely expressed
right.
in my childhood for a lot of us. And so I remember like it was just such a huge, like outlet
Yeah.
for me.
Mm,
Um, I think that recognizing like that there was also some unsafety that came from just me alone sitting with my own emotions,
mm,
like was also like a reason why I think all of
mm,
the work that I've done has
mm.
to increase the capacity to be with our own emotions. Like the root of all psychosis is not being able to feel your emotions alone and feeling very like overwhelmed, very like to the point of all kinds of like adaptive things. So breathwork
Yeah.
is super interesting to me because it totally tracks and lines up with, everything that I've learned when we look at it like from a scientific standpoint. And also I would say probably needs to be used with maybe not caution, but awareness of what's actually happening.
Sure.
But like
Yeah.
it makes sense to me that like it was something
Mm,
that was really helpful for you because,
mhm.
well, your breath has been with you every single moment of your entire life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and then like even the Bible, like learning growing up, like spirit is on the breath.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
remember reading that and being like, okay, like whatever that means.
What does that
Like
mean?
he
Yeah.
is, there's no other parallel. Maybe it's not even a parallel. Maybe it's a literal, like he is with us every single second. And our breath is the reminder of that or the embodiment of that, either way.
Mm,
So,
mhm.
can you tell us for people, for someone who's never done breath work before,
Yeah.
what what is it in its simplest terms like to you? How would
Mm.
you explain it to how would you explain it to like the version of you that walked into that class that day and was like, whatever this is.
Oh, great. That's really great. Well, I was laughing, Courtney. I hope this is okay to share.
Yeah.
Um, but a friend of mine, a close friend of theirs, like did some psilocybin situations,
Yeah,
and
totally.
uh, and it was something where God was like just like right in front of him. You could just see God the Father,
Yeah.
and there was some loving warnings going on from the Father, like I need you to take care of yourself differently. So
Mm,
your exchange of like wisdom, and and this gentleman was like very aware that God was supplying every like God was like somehow physically supplying every single breath to him in this encounter, that like every breath depended on God's gift of that breath. And I just think that's a little wild, to think about.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
dependent. Like it is perhaps, relational. Breath is actually like I'm
Relational.
dependent on the next breath. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, totally.
But so to speak to breath work for a beginner, my gosh, like the science in our bodies of the breath and lung capacity and everything that it means, I will be studying for the rest of my life.
Sure. Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
it is insane what we have unfortunately lost touch with, where our breath is indicative of our beliefs, like in every moment. It is a
Hmm.
an indicator or a signal to what are we believing in that moment. And as you talk so much about the nervous system and our state shift, that we can go from sympathetic to parasympathetic back and forth, um, the breath is like a toggle between states,
Mm.
and it's a loop. It can be one or the other. What we believe and
Yeah.
think in a moment can change our breath, and our breath can do the same thing. It can change our state and bring our body back into a show, not to tell situation where you can hack your breath. Your body can believe it's in a much more calm state. And so some of that is really intricate, but I would say in general, the breath work that I am drawn to, that first one I went to, is considered holotropic or three-part breath. And it's just a high level activation of the vagus nerve. And so what it does
Mm.
is it will allow kind of what's been held within, maybe stories, beliefs, unprocessed pain, ungrieved griefs, kind of come to the surface. And if your system is really like at a ventral vagal state, and you go into a three-part breath for 30 minutes, you'll probably end up laughing because it brings to the surface what's kind of most true for you
Mm.
you'll be the wildest person in the room. Why? So the basics of breath work really are, yeah, it's just that it can be a regulator of your state, our HRV, your heart rate variability. You can even those, I haven't started wearing like a Whoop band yet, but those that are even measuring that, you can tell within
Yeah.
moments a state shift. And so that slower exhale, for example, just the pace at which we're breathing, which most of us are in this tense, shallow breath, because most of us are in that predominantly sympathetic state throughout
Yeah.
our life. Fight or flight, whether subtle, we're sort of like, we've been taught, I would say, I feel like most of us are in freeze, in kind of like I need to do this thing, but I still have that other thing. We're always in a sort of
Yeah.
multi-directional pull. And breath, the exhale, that's when you activate all of the physiological parasympathetic like responses that are designed within. So the exhale is kind of our best friend if we are in a predominantly sympathetic or stress state, because it's
Yeah.
basically telling the body we are not running from a lion, we're not
Yeah. Right.
in danger, we're actually fine,
Yeah.
we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I I think it's so interesting. Two things. I remember, well, breath work I think is a lot, is on the internet a lot. And I know that like my one of my teachers, Sarah Baldwin, has talked about how like we want to make sure that we are kind of sort of aware of what state we're in
mm,
when we start breath work so that we don't actually accidentally like push
mm,
ourselves deeper into that state. For example, if you were in a shutdown state, a depressive state, and you're doing just slow, deep breaths,
mm,
you're actually kind
mm.
of reinforcing the shutdown. So, like, kind of being aware of where you're at. I think, though, most people don't have to worry about that. It's more something to be like aware of, especially, but if you're with a guided, like a guided expert, like they're going to be able to
Mm,
help you navigate that. And I think what is really fascinating to me is that people have asked me, when we're regulating our nervous system, is the goal to like never be sad or never, like to
mm,
like not be, angry or not be in grief. And actually, that's not what safety is at all. That's not what
Right.
regulation is at all. We we want to feel those emotions with safety. Like grief without fear is actually like a very connecting experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you're talking about like accessing or activating the vagus nerve, what you're talking about is you're using your breath to send your body signals of safety. So
Yes.
of course the emotion would come to the surface because it's like, oh, it's safe to tell you my story now.
Yeah.
It's safe to tell you what's going on. Like, okay, and I think where some of us
Mm.
get tripped up is trying to intellectualize what's going on
Mm.
and trying to make sense of it, which
Mhm.
is part of being a human. And journaling is great, talking is great, processing is great, but getting into your body, actually feeling what's going on, it
Yeah.
bypasses all of that. And
Yeah.
you'll be like noticing things that come up that you don't act necessarily, maybe you can speak to this, but you don't even
Mhm.
necessarily have or need an explanation for. It's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
the release that kind of comes up and out. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. I do. I mean, it's kind of back to that vagus nerve thing. Your body, we love to talk about how it keeps the score, but we don't talk often about how it releases the score. And safety is primary, like the first step in the body
Mm,
releasing, right? So it is holding. It is holding because it doesn't feel safe. It's looking in every environment. Am I safe or am I in danger? Right.
yeah.
And um, the breath is sort of a gift because it's the one sort of involuntary thing that we can turn back to voluntary. I can't consciously change the state of my stomach or my liver or my other organs, but I can consciously change the state of my breathing. And the
Hmm.
breathing is speaking to my brain. It's activating those
Yeah.
responses, telling my brain what environment is it safe or dangerous that I'm in.
Yeah.
Um, so I think primarily like learning that being like you said earlier about psychosis, it's our inability to be with ourselves. The breath actually, most of us, even for example, when we're breathing so shallow, we are off gassing our CO2 and increasing your ability to hold your breath retention, breath holding is a very popular test right now to kind of see what level of stress you're either holding on to or you're able
Mm,
to flexibly release and go in and
wow.
out of. Um, James Nestor, he wrote the book called Breathe, I believe. He's really
Oh,
great
my
on,
favorite. I obsessed with
yeah,
that book.
yeah,
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah,
good.
it was
Um,
so good. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm glad you read that. Look, you're on your
I
breathwork journey.
did.
Good.
I did. I know. Well, you know what? And the thing too, it's funny because my youngest is like really interested in like how things work and science and stuff. And we were
Mm.
talking about breath when I read it. It's a few years ago, but I was like, basically, bottom line, my biggest takeaway from that book is like, breathe from your nose.
Mhm. Okay, yeah,
That was like
totally.
his big, like that was, but he has like such a beautiful way of like talking, like just
Yeah,
culturally and like historically what breath has done and like how, yeah, and
right.
what it is. Anyways, but yes, I think like
Yeah.
that honestly was like as much as I know though. So that's why I'm glad to learn about this now.
Well, it's okay. I can relate to a time there. I'm thinking about something he speaks a lot on, like chronic anxiety, these loops that just get stuck in our brains, our
Yeah, yeah,
systems, chronic panic, chronic kind of fight or flight or freeze. If you ask someone, for example, to hold a breath, they'll go, that was really hard.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was really hard. Please don't make me do that again. And it's only because their body still hasn't acquainted with CO2 basically, which
yes,
is an indicator of a nervous system that is regulated, that is an
yes,
at ease state, a rest and digest
yes,
state. And
yep,
so the body does you back to like I think the environment you were kind of speaking to, what's an environment that allows someone to enter into breath so that they are safe enough to allow all the exposure that breath brings. And that is where you
yeah,
do want to have a breathwork guide or teacher
yeah,
who
yeah,
can even assess your state in ways that you may not have discernment or
right,
awareness
yeah,
yet. But I would lean towards saying, Courtney, that, and this may be just me, but in the same way that like hydration experts would say, no matter what, like if the only water source you have is tap, you drink the tap water. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you haven't, if you just are like, I probably should breathe right now. If I'm in, like, I'm trying to enjoy this beautiful view, but I'm still caught up in like all of the day. And it's like, I'm catching the body cue of my shallow breath. Then just try some breath. Just try it out. If you
Yeah.
like, I'd indicate you towards trying more than just avoiding for fear of like doing it wrong. Cause more often than not, the breath in any direction is just going to at least help you be where you are with your emotions, which is that
Great. So good.
somatic
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah.
So whether you're an expert or not yet, like try something, right? Like
Yeah.
try, maybe not
Yeah.
a full on 45-minute breath work with somebody on YouTube random, but like
Yeah.
try a 10-minute, try a 5-minute. It's going to state shift you somewhere. It's going to give you information. And more
Yeah.
than likely, it's going to at least turn your attention inward, turn your attention to what's happening and what's really going on. So
Totally. I know. I remember trying to retrain my breathing after that book because you talked about shallow breathing and like how your shoulders will raise. And
mm,
um
yeah.
even like when you're working out, especially like it's like this like through your mouth. Oh, my mouth, if you're listening, my mouth is open and my shoulders are raising up and down. Because that is like kind of that is what the anxious state is, and how he talks about how like actually breathing through your nose and expanding your belly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Yep.
such a much deeper breath. And what happened to me was my
Mm,
body was so not used to that I
mm,
felt like I was oxygen. I felt like I was like, am I getting enough air? Like I felt like it wasn't a suffocating feeling, but it was like I would feel this
yeah.
like I was almost like holding my breath. And I remember reading like, yeah, that means that you've been breathing from anxiety for a really long time,
Yeah.
which is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Totally. And it honestly, Courtney, just even learning about the nervous system more so in the last 2 years and realizing I was formerly in a predominantly sympathetic stress state and
Yeah.
like
Okay.
mad, rushing, hustling, going, catching up, all the time. And so
Yeah.
to allow myself the permission to change my pace so that I'm not creating chronic illness in my body long
Yeah.
term, autoimmune
Yeah.
diseases on the line, so that I am actually like providing the body both the emotional state that it needs to thrive, but also the physical and physiological state that it needs to thrive long term and not be
Yes.
in stress state. The breath it's a very strong, quick, I think James talks about it as well. Like more than any pill, your breath can decrease your anxiety the quickest. It's the thing you have access to right now.
Right
So
now in any situation. How do you
yeah.
feel? So people listening might be like, oh, I don't want to do this and feel what's in my body if they're feeling afraid of like the emotions in their body or anything that might come up. Like, how do you help someone approach breath work without overwhelming their system?
hmm Sure. Do you mean, yeah, so maybe like there's so many degrees, the spectrum of breathwork it can just allow you to kind of relax and calm a little bit. It depends on what you're
Mm,
going through right now. And so if
yeah.
you're aware, like I'm going through a thing and I know I'm on the edge of a big, big cry.
I
Are
just told
you?
you that before the thing. Yeah.
I love being on the edge of a big, big, big cry. And sometimes when I can't access it and I'm aware that I can't for whatever reason, my little body is just trying to hold on. A 3-part breath practice for 30 minutes will do the thing for me. And it will bypass all of my protectors and allow me to feel the feels all the way. So that's kind of the extreme of
Yeah.
breath for release and emotion release purpose. But right, if you're like, I'm afraid to just breathe slowly, I would just say, right, like body doubling, getting a co-regulating witness, having someone
Yeah.
who is safe, that especially body safe, where your brain associates them with like acceptance,
Yeah.
like whatever my body's going to do is going to be okay. It's not going to be like, whoa, what's that? This like sound you just made because
Yeah. Well, that's
but it,
weird. Yeah.
yeah, that was weird. Like, why are you? yeah, shaking. Why are you, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Acceptance is important, but most often, if you're just needing to calm down, like a 5-minute YouTube, breath
Yeah.
situation will be fine. If you're needing to have a big feel, go to a trusted studio nearby. Open Breathwork is great. I teach twice a month on Zoom, so it's available everywhere.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, there's a parameter, and there's a whole safety sort of um, fence for you to know that whatever your body's going to bring up right now is
Yeah.
fully okay. We're not here to judge it. We're not here to fix it, change it, make it small again. We're literally giving you as much space as your body is indicating it needs. And often, I think people that go on these sort of 3-part like emotional release breathwork journeys, it's it comes in phases. Like you will find the layers. You'll move through layers of grief. You'll move
Yeah.
through layers of understanding. And I will add that in the case that you are someone who pursues a relationship with God and the unconditional love of God, you are most likely going to encounter radical love to a level that, maybe you've gotten in like an hour or two of worship, or, some
Mm.
radical kind of moment in your life. You're most likely going to feel that. There's so much oxytocin that gets released in the, like, people go into natural high states, no drugs involved, quite lovely, quite
Right.
fun.
Do you
um,
do breath work every day personally?
as far as like small, I'm just aware of it. So I'm like, I will slow my
Yeah.
breath down when I'm like doing shallow breath. I'm just hyper aware of it, I guess now. So I guess yes. Do I do like 3-part emotional release journeys? No more than really once a week for me on those, because I don't
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
process a ton. I don't need to be stirring the pot, if you will.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend just going, to breath 5 days a week if it's like
Right.
a very somatic release based one or emotion release based one.
Yeah.
But yeah, at this point, I'm I'm finding that it's kind of enjoyable to just be predominantly regulated. So it's
Yeah.
like the breath has made its room in me. It's like, there we are.
Yeah.
I can tell
Yeah.
immediately when it's state shift.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, what would you say just to somebody who feels like they're bad at it, like their mind wanders or they can't relax or, or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. Yeah. Probably similar things that you would coach them on, which is like somatic awareness. Like, can you be here more? Can you be more present? Can you feel, the rug underneath you or the chair underneath you? Can you bring your body, your those ideas of like judging the self are a fight or flight response. Like, I need to perform for acceptance and belonging here. Am I doing this wrong?
Yeah.
External judgment thing versus just, can we make our priority and our number one task just being aware? And
Yeah.
so we're changing the focus from doing
Notice.
something, and we're just going back to being with.
Yeah.
And so the more that will immediately or fairly quickly teach the body that, like, whatever, even especially breath, I mean, it can be so sporadic when you're just getting to know
Yeah.
your breath. Like, why did I just take a huge breath? And like, why am I having a hard time? Like, we can go
Yeah.
into judgment quickly if we're trying to do it right. But the body it's ready for us just to be present with it. And so I would say just accept whatever comes. All of us
Yeah.
do a physiological sigh every like 5 to 10 minutes anyways. We all do these kind of right? Because
Yeah.
we're entertaining so many ideas and thoughts, and we're managing the acceptance or the like compartmentalization, or where does that need to go in my brain? Okay, that goes over there. Right?
Yeah.
That's happening so much, per minute. But so removing judgment from the breath is also a
Yeah.
good priority. And being like, whoa, that's crazy. Took I just yawned
Yeah.
5 times. Breath work. Like,
Yeah.
okay, great. The body is
Yeah.
moving towards parasympathetic. The body is moving towards a regulated state. Whatever it takes, just allow. Just allow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so you're gonna maybe tell us a couple of exercises and maybe walk us through one. Yes?
Yeah, I would love to. I think practically, like you said, breathing through the nose, again, it's not like the tiger, like this.
Yeah.
That is an
Yeah. The gasp.
indicator to the
Yeah.
brain that something's wrong, right? The yawn, she's moving towards a
I know.
parasympathetic. She's closing.
Yeah.
So, so, so breathing through the nose is going to be a pretty quick way of just like dropping towards a regulated state or dropping into a parasympathetic loop. And so I would say if you are getting body cues such as, breathing shallow, gasping, feeling that freeze state of like pull in multiple directions, and you're like, let's experiment with what it could be like to pause, purposefully pause, and see what the breath may offer in this moment. I would just say, literally, I just want to be like, go for it. Like if you think about
Yeah.
breathing, do it.
Yeah.
You think about it, stop what you're doing and do it.
Yeah.
Because it's in the sympathetic state, in a stress state, that it's the hardest to stop. It's the hardest to
Yeah.
pause. Then you're like, no, but I'm busy
Yeah.
being stressed. I'm really busy.
Right. Yeah. I don't have time for this.
Like I'm carrying this thing and I have to get that thing. And then if I stop, I'm like, yeah, it's all going to fall apart. If you stop and if you have enough of a cue, if you listen to this podcast and you can remember like, oh my gosh, maybe just 60 seconds. Maybe that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like highly encourage you to see what you might do for your body and your brain and your state that could change the rest of your day. Who knows? So
it's a good reminder too, because what was the thing? Oh, I remember, gosh, I can't remember the source, but I remember reading like 95% of what we worry about never actually happens.
yes. Yes.
Are we at peace 95% of the time though?
Mm.
I mean, in our lifetimes, 95% of what we worry about never actually happens. Sounds like you're saying that breath is a really great way to remind our bodies that there is actually no reason to run like we're being chased.
Yes. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I interrupted you though.
Oh, it was great. I feel even more regulated now, Courtney. Thank
you. Good. Good.
More at peace. So I would just say pause. Take a purposeful pause, 60 seconds, and just begin to nose breathe. But your inhales in general don't need to be as long as the exhales if you're looking to move into a rested state. So just try with me here. We'll do find the bottom of your exhale. And then wherever you are, begin to breathe in through the nose for 4, 2, exhale 6, 3, through the nose 1. Inhale for 4. Exhale 6, 2, 1. We'll do 2 more like that. Inhale for 4. And out 6. Last time, noticing your shift. 4. And out for 6, 2, and 1. Yeah. And how would you say, Courtney, that you feel in this moment as far as any
I
shift?
do think that I wasn't thinking about anything else, and I feel like it felt pretty zen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just focusing on the breath is a great way to just break a pattern of fight or flight. Start to think just about the breath. Notice what it feels like entering. Notice what it feels like exiting. Notice where your shoulders are and the tension in the jaw. And I know you speak a lot about the somatic like awareness side of things for artists and for your podcast listeners, and just being, like you said, like in the course you're teaching, the regulated artist, that like open, curious state, just it comes from moving out of a stress response or moving out of a stressful state, and the availability and the curiosity and even like the sociability of
Yeah.
being in a regulated state. That's where it really happens. And we can be talking with people all day, interacting all day, and
Yeah.
still be in a low grade stress state. And so if you want to be more present to the conversations that you're having, where you're not thinking about how you said something wrong, you're not thinking about what their judgments are of you. You're like, I'm just here in the conversation, and I'm loving me, and I'm present to me, and I'm safe to be me. Breath
Yeah.
is a really great hidden way to even, you can do it in a way nobody knows. You're just slowing down your breath, which is also slowing down your heart rate, which is telling your body, I'm not in danger. I am
Yeah.
okay. You know?
Yeah. Totally.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're meant to feel, you think about even what this is always like one of my guiding questions, like what makes a healthy human?
Mm,
Period. What
mm,
what kinds of things make up an adult who is able to create and connect and feel their emotions in healthy ways and feel present and have agency and are healthy in their bodies and their relationships? How does one get there? And I probably asked because I was going in so many different directions. And I think the number one thing that I have discovered, I mean, not like first, but for my own self, was how deeply we are meant to feel a presence of love at all times.
mm-hmm,
Period.
mm,
Kids that feel a presence of love at all times. Not because their parents were perfect, but because they knew that
mm,
their parents
mm,
were
mm,
available and attuning and deeply unconditionally loved them and could
mm-hmm,
help them with their life and could equip them for life beyond their parents. Like those kids have a general sense of like, love is with me. I can count on
mm-hmm,
love. I'm never alone.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And so I
mm,
feel like what so many of these practices point to, and breathwork is such a beautiful example, is like the literal teaching your body you are not alone. Like, because breath is always with us, every single moment that we've been on this earth, our breath has been with us. If we are alive, our breath is our constant companion. What an amazing reminder to our bodies that like we are never alone. But also the other part that you just talked about noticing, like
mm-hmm,
how beautiful that we have a noticer inside of us, that we have the ability to like be with our own experience, that we are spirits in human bodies. We are able to like not
mm,
get trapped inside of the unresolved fear that our bodies are living in, but actually like observe it. That is
yeah.
another reminder to our system that like we are actually never alone, not ever.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Oh, lovely. Oh, beautiful. It
Yeah.
feels like it's a remembering about just our dependency. Like we are dependent on the feeling of love and belonging like our
Yes.
survival, really actually our thriving obviously depends on it. And I
Yes.
would suggest survival
Absolutely.
on it. And it's interesting when you think about like Adam, first man in animated through the breath, like from the earth, the dust,
Yeah.
animated to life through the breath of God. Okay, let's just play with that.
Right. There's a,
And
yeah.
then jump to the second Adam, the restarting of humanity in essence. Let's like actually blank canvas, forgive everything, past, present, and future forward. And he breathed on them in the upper room, which I like to call the regenesis. Like, hello, we're
Mm-hmm.
starting over. Sorry, but wait, how you breathed on them? Like,
Yeah.
that's
Like, yeah.
interesting. Earthy woo woo gathering were you guys having over there?
Jesus was so woo woo.
He was so earthy. He was so
The
woo woo.
most woo woo. I
He's
know.
like, drawing in the
Love it.
sand, and you're
Yeah.
like, just be a little, could you hurry up and get to the point?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But just so thinking about how relational, again, our breath is, like, what a gift that
Yeah.
there's a design of breath, and it is the ruach. There's so many names of God even that he gives himself of the breath, ruach hakodesh, ruach Adonai. Um, the pneuma is the spirit, which I would say is like sort of that animating spirit rather than like the empowering of the
Yes.
Holy Spirit. So, yeah, the animation of our entire lives is actually
Yeah.
physiological. Our
Yeah.
inspiration is like our breath is talking to us at all times, and maybe that could also be God, right? And we could give some space for the breath of God and God Himself
Amen. Yeah.
to inspire and rebreathe us and calm us down. So we are actually walking in union and peace and, yeah, the shalom of God every day, head to toe, right? In a real way. So
Beautiful.
there's a lot of
Oh my
invitation there.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our breath is talking to us every day. And like
Mm,
the participation, the guiding of our breath, the returning to our breath is like, then we're in conversation.
yeah. Yeah. Can we do
Ooh,
like a slower meditation? Like a 4 minute?
absolutely. Oh, please.
3 minute.
Yes, guys, everybody get excited. Stop driving, maybe,
We'll
if you're
just do,
driving.
yeah, if you're driving, you can do this while driving.
Or mark the
Um,
spot on your podcast, like see where the time is at, and then you can come back to it.
mm, mm. This one's a really good indicator of maybe the level of like stress that like your threshold for rest, your body's willingness to be in a rested state. Um, and so it's a great indicator, again, without judgment, but the breath will guide you forward towards a more rested state. It will give you like, here's your edge. Let's like stretch a little beyond that, little by little every time. So it's just boxed breathing. I remember being really uncomfortable with this as we will increase our numbers and our length of time with the breath holds. I was like, can't do it. I don't know why. No one's telling me why, but I can't do it. And maybe there's something wrong with me. But it's simply that ability to be with a rested state and even
Okay,
the carbon dioxide exchange. So
great.
yeah, practice. Here we go.
Yeah.
Box breath. So go ahead and find the bottom of your breath. Find the bottom of your exhale and slowly through the nose, you can inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. You'll release, relax the breath out. 3, 2. Hold that exhale for 4, 2. Inhale for 5. Think about coming from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. 2. Holding 5. Releasing 5. Holding the exhale 5. Good. We're going to do that for 6 in, 4. Holding at the top, 4, 6. Releasing 6. Holding 6. Good. For 7, inhale wider than you have yet. Taller. Holding 7. Exhale 7. Holding 7. If you feel available to it, let's go for 8. In. Little more in. Hold 8. 3, 2, 1. Slow out. 6, 5, 4. Last time, holding 8. Nice. And back to your normal breath. If you can, just stay right where you are, even if you can have those eyes closed, and just notice if any shifts happened, if there was stress kind of coming up of ability or inability. Take a few good nourishing breaths, just deep through the nose, expanding through the back space, 3 dimensions of the breath, filling up as much of the lungs as you can, and releasing anything feels like judgment, just coming back to a securely loved state. 2 more good breaths. And noticing where you can offer yourself a little more softness. You can try softer today, some compassion. Last one. Is there any ways that your body is asking you to be with it today? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Coming back. How is that for you, Courtney?
Oh, so good. So good. I definitely recommend getting in Whitney's orbit for sure because of I think just the embodied feminine guidance. And I think breathwork is something to really spend some time exploring as practice. I mean, there's so much research and science around it, but I think like what we kind of talked about today just really hopefully inspires people to engage with it as like a emotional, relational self-care.
Yes.
So yes, oh my gosh, I loved it.
Mm.
I love it. I have done your woven class too. So can you tell us a little bit about like how
Mm.
people can work with you and where to find you? Maybe I'll leave that to you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, I was just thinking. So, Beheld Breathwork is what
Okay.
I'm doing just twice monthly there online. Um, and that is about an hour and a half where you can show up, and it's 4:30 Pacific time, so it's about 7:30 on the Eastern Coast, where you can come anticipating a pretty hefty um, encounter with yourself, processing emotions, potentially a big release, who knows what, but definitely a deep place for self-care. That's Beheld Breathwork twice monthly. And then if anyone wants to go deeper into the whole idea of an embodied life, especially a courageous life as a believer, as someone who's pursuing like the following of Jesus and doesn't feel like there's a path for actually doing it within the realm of their bodies, the reality of their attachment styles and their nervous system dysregulation, and like where does this all come into all the things I want to do, and like the beliefs I have and the attachment wounds I have. It's the woven is an 8-week right now. It's 8 weeks for women specifically to basically dive into the body as a form of healing, awareness, somatic, release, and practical tools for your relationships with yourself, with God, and with each other, to become the most fully alive, authentic version of you, not leaving any parts
Beautiful.
behind. We don't often talk about the body as like a method of healthy relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understanding the body. Like, what are the
Yeah.
impulses here? And
Totally.
why is attachment style showing up like this? Well, have we even sat with our body cues? Have we even sat with like
Yeah.
what are all the sweet intuitive gifts that God gave our divine design that we just left on the shelf a long time ago? So woven is that, and then retreats are coming. Costa Rica is November. There's like information coming soon about that. There will be movement and breath work and theology of the body, and it will be fun and beautiful. And so,
Amazing.
yeah, with Whitney Lynn
Amazing.
is my Instagram handle, with Whitney Lynn. So,
With Whitney Lynn on Instagram. Go follow along. Thank you so much for being here. Love you so much.
Courtney, likewise. Love you.
Everybody have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.